Many times, you do not know the real values, but you still want to do calculations. In these situations, you can use symbols to represent the value and perform the calculations. Algebra is a field of mathematics which allows us to do mathematics with non-numerical symbols. These symbols used to represent unknown values are called variables. This is a new concept for you. Let's look at an example to understand it. Let's say that you buy a pizza and a drink. The cost of the drink is $5, but let's say that you do not know the cost of the pizza, and you would like to find the total cost of your meal, the total cost being the cost of the pizza plus the cost of the drink. So let's say in this example that the letter P is our variable that we are going to use to represent this unknown cost of the pizza. So this means that whatever the cost of the pizza is, it can be represented by this letter P. So if the real cost of the pizza happens to be $10, for example, then our P would equal $10. If this pizza is a large pizza and a more fancy pizza and it costs $25 for this big pizza, then our P would equal $25. And once again, it's very important to understand that whatever the cost of the pizza is, it can be represented by the letter P. So now let's look at what would happen with a problem where we still have P equaling the cost of the pizza, but now we want to know how to write down the total cost of our meal. And so we want to find out the total cost. And so the total cost is going to equal the cost of the pizza plus, if you remember our drink, we said we already knew it has a set cost. The cost of our drink is $5. And so we can make an equation here for the total cost of the meal equals, this P means the cost of the pizza, plus $5. And so we still don't know the cost of our pizza. This is an unknown. We call it an unknown, and we use this variable. But we do know that, for example, if the pizza costs $10, let's say, then we would know that the total cost of our meal would be $10 plus $5, and the total cost would be $15 if P equals $10. So we would have our total cost, but we can keep our total cost equation at P plus $5. No matter what the cost of the pizza is, it would go here in P. And so now you can see in this example how variables can be used to represent unknown numbers. So what is a simple algebraic expression? A simple algebraic expression is a mathematical phrase or expression consisting of numbers, variables, and simple operators like plus for addition, minus for subtraction, times for multiplication, and a division symbol for divide, for division. In our previous example of total cost of our meal equals the cost of the pizza plus $5, this is a simple algebraic expression. It's consisting of a variable, p, a number, 5, and an operator, plus, which tells us to do addition. Let's look at an example to help us further understand simple algebraic expressions. So I have a sentence here that says, John is 23 years old. And my question is, what was his age n years ago? So let's imagine for a minute if you know that John is 23 years old, and I ask you, how old was John 2 years ago? You would take the 23 years that he is now, and you would subtract 2 from that, and you would have the answer of 21 years old. So in this case, we had the number 2 as our known number. He was 23, we know that. And then we wanted to know how old he was 2 years ago. And so we subtracted 2 from that, and we got 21 years. But what does it mean in this kind of a question when I say, how old was John n years ago? I don't know the exact number that I want to subtract here. I want to know how old he was n years ago. How many years ago? So it means in this example that the symbol n is a symbol here. It's our variable that is going to represent a number of years, any number of years. And so in the example that we just looked at, and we did 23 minus 2, then in that example, n equaled 2, and we took 23 minus 2 to find his age of 21 years. But to find John's age n years ago, maybe n equals 5, or n equals 10, or n equals 2 like we just did, we need to subtract n from 23. So we are going to write a simple algebraic expression of 23 minus n. And what this tells me is that if I want to find out how old John was n years ago, I'm going to need to take 23 and subtract my number n from that. So if I want to find out how old John was 5 years ago, I'm going to do 23 minus 5. If I want to find out how old John was 10 years ago, I'm going to do 23 minus 10. Or like we just worked out with 2 years ago, how old was John 2 years ago? I'm going to do 23 minus 2. So in this simple algebraic expression that we have written for this question, what was his age n years ago? 23 is our number, n is our variable, and our operator is minus for subtraction. On the board behind me here, I have a few more examples of simple algebraic expressions. This first one here, 4 plus n, is a simple algebraic expression because it has a number, it has a variable n, and it has an operator, which is this plus sign here, which tells me to do addition. This second one is 4 times n. So again, 4 is my number and n is my variable, and my operator is this x here, which represents multiplication. Sometimes you'll also see multiplication represented with a little star and kind of little asterisks. So this 4 and this symbol and this n also represents 4 times n. 4 is my number, n is my variable, and this symbol here is my operator for multiplication. In this next one here, again, I have a variable of n, and I have a number of 4, And this slash symbol here in between them is my operator, and it represents division. So I would read this as n divided by 4. Similarly to this last one here, where n is my variable, 4 is my number, and my operator is the traditional division symbol. So I would read this one also as n divided by